The wacky world of MultimediaJay.
Well, I hear the sounds of spring outside, always a good sign. And what am I doing on this lovely spring Sunday afternoon? Messing around with computers indoors like a little nerd. It's great that the Silver Bullet's finally operating again for the first time in years. But as you can tell, it's got a bit of a noise problem, to say the very least. Running off of only 80mm fans. And not only does it have a problem with running off of only 80mm fans in the case, but it also has a bit of a problem with the system, the motherboard actually, not having any case fan control. It does have fan control for the CPU fan, which is a PWM 4-pin fan, but not for the 3-pin case fans. See, the way it works on Tuxedo's motherboard is that it auto-detects whether it's PWM or not, and then does PWM for PWM and voltage only for regular. So there is some fan control on that motherboard. Someone's mowing their lawn or something. There is some fan control on that motherboard, although it could be better. But I guess even on this 2008 motherboard, we're going to have to manually control the case fans. And I do still have a fan controller that I used to use with this thing. It's going to go in this slot right here. I think it's going to, you can feel the wind of the air being sucked in. So first we're going to do some little demonstration on just what fan noise does to systems. And then we'll get that fan controller put in. We're going to compare the Silver Bullet over here with Tuxedo and the same kind of setup, plus different case materials. This is an aluminum case. Tuxedo has the steel version of this case, and also several years newer, which has 120mm fan support. But this thing is an old 80mm one from back in the day. So we just started this thing up, and yeah, Windows XP is pretty primitive. I gotta get rid of this somehow. Maybe I'll upgrade the RAM or something, but it's holding the temperature steady in the 30s on a day like today. It's about 65 out, gorgeous spring weather, and it's keeping this processor in about the 30s once it cools down, which means it's still running hotter than Tuxedo. Tuxedo's routinely in the 20s, but anywho. For comparison purposes, here's Tuxedo. A little quieter, but most of the perceived quietness comes from the case having larger fans. So the noise they make and the vibration noise that they're transferring to the case is lower pitched because the RPMs are lower. And also the material, this is a steel case as opposed to the aluminum, much sturdier steel. And so that helps with some things as well. Now for comparison's sake, here's the Silver Bullet with no case fans whatsoever. I wouldn't have been able to do this on the original Athlon XP. It would have run way too hot. But in this case, we're holding steady in the mid-30s now, but when it first started up, it was high 30s to 40s. So, when it's not doing anything, and of course before it was earlier in the boot up process, so back in the clip where we had the fans, so this thing at idle is as hot as the other one under, I guess, load, or as hot as with fans under load. So, I think, well, it's quite obvious what we should do here. Time to go dig up that fan controller and install it. There it is, the old Thermaltake something or another. It's actually got 4 dials on it from back in the day. It's even got an alarm, too, if the thing heats up too much. This is from the bad old days before motherboards and processors started watching temperatures. It all goes through a bit of tubing to a bunch of 4-pin Molexes, and then it goes even further to either a header on the motherboard or a little temp sensor, a little thermostat or type thing that you can stuff into your processor's heatsink to watch the temperature that way. Of course, this is early 2000s we're talking about, so chips for the most part ran hotter back then. Anyways, now we gotta stuff this thing in this thing again and not make too much of a mess with the wires. Although I do have a bit of a mess already going on with wires. And as far as hooking up the 3-pin connectors to these 4-pin Molexes, I think some of these, there might be some adapters buried somewhere in here. Blech! Now that's what I call a total wiring disaster. Or lazily stuffing all the extra wires on this nice little convenient gap on top of the power supply. Of course, that's one reason why I like these big cases. You tend to have places you can stuff your wires and somewhat avoid cable ties. Somewhat. Okay, let's see how much of this thing still works here. See if the alarm starts going off. 91 degrees Celsius. Yeah, that's totally not right. Oops. Okay, we won't be using the thermal sensor. It got caught in the heatsink fan. I think that little thermal sensor is a relic from a bygone time, anyways, and it's not supposed to be used for that. Anyways, okay, so all right, let's see if I remember how this worked. Yeah, hold the camera right. So the alarm temperature is when it starts going nuts, and then T2 is what it actually is, and that's what that sensor's picking up. Okay, but at the very least, does it control the speed of these fans? Oops. Shut up. Oh yeah. Listen to that change in noise. So let's speed this one back up and speed this one back up. Most of the time I imagine I'll probably be able to use this with the fans all the way down. But we lower the pitch on these things all the way down, and yeah. Just gotta do something about this absolutely abysmal wiring job. But at least we know it works. And I wonder if there is some way I can use that sensor somewhere near the processor. So here's the net result of all my hard work. Number one, the door closes, so that's good. Number two, here's the fan controller. We can turn it on and off. On, off. If we want, we can change it over to Fahrenheit. And then, but I'd rather keep it on Celsius because that's what most of the temp readings are in. And of course, here's where everything happens. Turn these up, and the noise comes back, and turn them down, and the noise quiets down. Now there is an alarm on this thing that beeps all over the place if the sensor detects a temp that's too high, but unfortunately this is all the way down. If I crank it all the way up, it goes up to 90 degrees. Actually 91. Because this system is a lot more power efficient in terms of not giving off tons of heat than the original Athlon XP that I bought this thing for, I pretty much would really have to cook this machine in order to trigger the lowest temperature. The lowest alarm temperature is 35 degrees Celsius. Actually, let's run some benchmarks or something that'll stress the heck out of this thing and see if we can make the alarm go off. Now, since the processor in this thing is from the late 2000s, let's see if 3D Mark 06 can actually make this thing go above 35 degrees at that sensor. 31, 31. I remember these days. Oh no, this thing's flying all over this benchmark. I might have to upgrade. Ooh, wait, we got some stutter going on there. Nope. Not budging past 30-something degrees, even though I'm only chugging 25 frames a second on here. Might need some kind of mathematical thing to challenge it. I'll just keep running this benchmark over and over and over again and see if we can cross that 35 thing and then show you what the alarm sounds like. It's good though that nowadays I have systems where it's harder to trigger this alarm. I remember with the original Athlon XP, I could trigger this just by turning the thing all the way down because it always ran at more than 35 degrees. Now we're getting there. 34 degrees. One more degree to go before setting the alarm off. It's doing the Firefly Forest thing. If the benchmark runs out before it hits 35.2 degrees Celsius, come on, cook. Well, there's your Beavis and Butthead reference here. I should install these old 3D marks on Tuxedo and watch them with even better frame rates, since I know the 1090Ti blows this Core 2 Duo away. Oh, come on! Can't we just put this in like CPU test? This'll do it. Come on, CPU test. Oh yeah, look at how slow that is. Slideshow. Come on, cook the CPU. There it goes. Oh no. Come on. 35 degrees, that's all I'm asking. Is the cooling in this... There we go. See, it's just like a bad stopwatch. Anyways. So that's the hot processor alarm, which is really irrelevant with this CPU, because... Alright, so... I suppose the only thing left to do here is close the window so we can not get some noise from outside, and see what we're looking at in terms of a noise difference here. 3D Mark. Down to 1 frame per second now. Did I say bad stopwatch? I meant bad alarm clock. You know those cheap alarm clocks that might as well be stopwatches? Okay, it's enough of that nonsense. Actually, we can probably... well, it doesn't matter. The fans are not controlled by the CPU anyway, so... here's the kind of difference we're looking at. Let's just do a quick before. Turn this all the way up. Before... after. Now we're down around Tuxedo's level of noise. Since I don't intend on doing anything heavy duty after this little run through of 3D Mark 06, since I don't intend on doing anything all that heavy duty, I don't anticipate needing to ever turn the fans up. Just for the heck of it though, I can check this temperature if I don't have the core temp on screen, which I will have the core temp on screen most of the time anyway, so that's enough of that. Well, that's enough silver bullet stuff for now. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay, signing off. Thanks for stopping by.